This may be a lot of things, this moment we're living through, but it is definitely not about Black lives. And remember that when they come for you.
You know, like Sarah said, they're not afraid to eat their own. Nobody is going to survive in that kind of environment. The mobs will come for everyone sooner or later.
This is a civil war, and it's getting worse and worse.
Karen Ataya was strongly implying what? That black revenge against white women, I guess, is justified? But we're just lucky that they haven't gone there yet.
Every time they demonize the police, people feel emboldened. They feel like it's okay for them to go out there and shoot a cop.
At some point, they might come for us with masks in their hands.
If you're a Republican, if you're a Trump supporter, we're coming after you.
They're coming for you and your neighborhood.
Politicians now cower before the mob. Corporate America mouths their slogans.
They present the mob to our door and then strip us of our ability to defend against it.
You're losing your freedom. Your freedom's gone.
There's a urban civil war. There's a ghetto civil war going on here, and no one is paying attention.
I think we're on the verge of civil war.
I think they're just trying to destroy recklessly and aimlessly and just waiting until the smoke clears, until they have more power.
Take a good look at Seattle, Washington, Portland, Oregon, New York City, Chicago. If you vote for Joe Biden, that's going to be you next year.
Police officers, emasculated and restrained, watch it all from the sidelines, unable to help.
In the end, we're all going to have to defend ourselves. The Second Amendment is on the line now, and we've got to make sure that this president gets reelected so that we can continue to have a prosperous America and one where we're safe.
You have a lot of violent left-wing mobs, Antifa mobs, saying that if you don't give us power, if you don't give our political wing, the Democratic Party, power, we're going to keep terrorizing your cities.
When you send a kid to a college campus, you might be playing Russian roulette with their values. And even worse than this, Tammy, you might be training them to overthrow your government.
Did Biden anywhere in that speech lay out his solution to prevent any wildfires in the future, or the people who are actually intentionally setting them in California, including Antifa?
We're watching the greatest country in the history of sentient beings collapse in front of our face. The bad guys are the good guys, the cops are the bad guys, you know.
And those chants, we hope they die, you know, those are intended to incite, right? These are agitators. They're trained and professional agitators who know how to whip up a crowd. They have been trying to provoke a race war from the very, very beginning.
And I will say one thing to you that Islamists and the woke have in common. They want to destroy America.
This is exactly what happens when you support revolutionary Marxists who want to burn down the entire system and start a race war in our country.
And a lot of us pro-gun people, we've always known this, and so we took measures to go out and make sure that we were in a position to defend ourselves whenever the police couldn't do it. But because of what's been going on in the chaos in 2020, now it's bringing it front and center, and people are starting to understand their vulnerability and trying to do something about it.
Joe Biden and his campaign that donated to the Minnesota Freedom Fund, which bailed out terrorists, thugs, and criminals who were burning down the streets of Minnesota.
Biden voters will get mad and start hurting people.
Biden won't condemn Antifa. In fact, he calls it a set of ideas because he knows those people rioting, looting, smashing in storefronts, burning down churches are all of his supporters. So he doesn't want to risk offending those who are destroying this nation and causing death and destruction in our cities, because it would hurt him at the ballot box.
If we don't reelect President Trump, this country is going to be in a deep dive.
There's a pattern here with Antifa, with Black Lives Matter, of a culture of intimidation. And this is the norm at the protests. This is not some outlying exception.
They're going to have a combination of lawyers, media and social media, the oligarchs in Silicon Valley, and also the street muscle of Antifa and certain elements of Black Lives Matter.
It really goes back to something Goebbels said a generation ago: who controls the street controls the nation. And this has been the Alinskyite doctrine that the Obamas have lived by.
Is Joe Biden to blame for the widespread violence by Antifa and BLM because he stoked racial unrest with his own divisive rhetoric?
These Antifa criminals that are burning down Minneapolis and other places in Minnesota, what they're doing is driving out our vote.
Biden represents the hard left, which basically involves anti-white racism.
They want to play war. This is war.